Aim low. Ooh. We're joined by Fox NFL draft analyst Joel Klatt. Welcome, Joel.
Good to be here.
Yeah.
Joel, did that interview help or hurt Rosen's draft stock?
Okay, so I want to back into that answer because I want to start with this fact. Josh Rosen is the most NFL-ready quarterback in this draft. He's the most skilled passer. He dealt with the pro-style system. He took more snaps under center. All of those things are true. If it wasn't for some of these red flags surrounding Josh, I believe he would be the runaway #1 pick in the draft. However, that selection is not made in a vacuum, so all of the things have to be considered. One is his on-field durability, which has been questioned, and then the other is what we're going to get into here, which is the off-field, let's say, quote-unquote, attitude of Josh Rosen. And unfortunately for him, this article, which was, I believe, meant to help Josh Rosen, is ultimately going to hurt Josh Rosen. The reason is because this entire article was a walking contradiction. Every time I would read an answer, the next answer was flying directly in the face of the previous answer. Let me just cite some examples. He goes to say, listen, I'm me, so deal with it. I value authenticity. He says, don't tell me how to live my life. And yet, in other answers, he says, I need to refine my message, understand what I'm trying to, quote unquote, portray, know where it plays and where it doesn't. So he takes on this motive of controlling his own narrative and it also saying, like, my narrative is my narrative, so deal with it. That's a contradiction. He goes on to say that my passion is for football and I want to be the best quarterback I can be. And then he goes on to say, I just want to be happy and I want to save the world. Well, those two things fly in the face of one another, if I'm not mistaken, in the NFL context. He is also, and this one I thought was very interesting. He talks about one of his main regrets from college was the Donald Trump situation. Okay, so he wears the Trump hat and then he uses the F word and it kind of blows up online, okay? And he says, hey, that was a regret of mine. And then he says, the biggest regret from the situation was that I used the F word, okay? And then he goes on to say, I'm a role model. He embraces his stature as a role model in the community and for kids. He used the F word 3 other times in the article, in answers, including the answer directly after that question. So I started thinking, well, which one is it? And this is my point. This article ultimately hurts because he's not maximizing his opportunities. While some teams might say, listen, he's taking ownership of his own arrogance and he wants to be a great football player, there are going to be others that put it down on their table and they're going to say this is a case study and why we shouldn't draft Josh Rosen, even though he's the most NFL-ready quarterback. He's the best in terms of his efficiency of movement. He's the most beautiful player at the position, and yet we can't take him because of these X, Y, and Zs.
Skip, for me, I would put, of all the things, the way I evaluate a quarterback, I would put down the one-on-one conversation as the least important. Because I know these guys have spent the last 8 weeks with former coaches and former general managers. They know what to say and they know how to say it. Because if you notice, he says, I want to win the most championships. I want to win 6 because Tom Brady has 5. But if Tom Brady wins another, I'm going to say 7.
Yeah.
So I know what to say. I know how to say it. He says, well, if you can harness radioactive material, you can get something beautiful. Well, what the hell if I'm not a scientist? What am I supposed to do with radioactive? I'm a football coach. Skip. I don't know what they're going to do with this young man.
Yeah.
Because I agree with everything you said. He is a walking contradiction. I don't even know if he knows what he wants. He happens to be really, really good at football, but I don't know if that's really, really his passion. See, 2 things can be true, Skip. You can be good at something, but that's not your passion. We saw that with Barry Sanders. That's why it was so easy for him to walk away.
That's true. Yeah.
He says,
and nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong with that. The reason why he says, my desire to leave is greater than my desire to stay.
Yep.
So if his desire to do other things than play NFL quarterback, Skip, he'll play a couple of years. He's still gonna be a first-round draft pick.
Yep.
He'll play a couple of years, and then he'll go off and do his own thing.
That is correct. I did not love Josh Rosen before I read this article, and now I like him much less. This is a case study in why you should not spend a high draft choice on this young man. Before this, I did not love his makeup. I did not love his intangibles. I didn't love his mental toughness. I didn't love his durability. I didn't love the fact that he often came across as a spoiled rich kid, because I think that's basically what he is, bottom line. And it offended me that he talked about, well, if Tom wins 6th, I'll have to win 7, when he's won nothing in his life that I can see. He didn't win anything in college, and I don't know his high school career at Don Bosco that well.
St. John Bosco.
Yeah, but
it was decent. Obviously, he was a great player.
He was a great player. He won awards, but I don't think
country.
they won. I don't think they won.
But that's a good school. It's out of Jersey, right?
Yeah. No, it's right. It's right here in Southern California.
And it's south.
Don Bosco. Okay.
John, St.
John Bosco.
St. John.
Right
Okay, I'm talking about the one in
Don Bosco.
No, I'm thinking of that one also. But this is the one down in Bellflower.
Yes.
So the point is, you won what? You did what? And he's talking about, I love Kellen Moore, winningest. Well, were you close to being the winningest college quarterback? I don't see it. So to me, I say this every year about these quarterbacks. You better know or don't risk the high pick. And now somebody's going to risk a high pick on him, I assume. Will he go in the top? Let's say, what's his floor? How far could he fall to where? 13, 14, 15?
Potentially. And listen, it's not unprecedented that we see someone with this type of ability level fall into the 20s.
Maybe.
We saw it with Aaron Rodgers, and there's certainly a lot of similarities.
But I always say this. If I have any doubts about one of these we got 5 kids who are up there in the top somewhere, I'm not taking them in the first round, because he'll just disappoint you, he'll frustrate you, and he'll leave your fans up in arms at you. You know, like, what did you do? Because once you take him at 2, let's say the Giants take him at 2, well, then you're stuck with this experiment, and it's going to go on for a while because your pride's going to be on the line, and you're going to try him, and you're going to try him for 2 years, and then 3 years, and finally at some point you're going to say, you know what, he's just not that guy.
Yeah, and what's interesting to me, listen, I've followed him closely since he committed to UCLA. Mm-hmm. And what was interesting is that, you know, the narrative early in his career was what a great athlete he was as a kid as well. And remember, he was a great individual tennis player, like a really good. The problem with that, and this is going to sound harsh, but Shannon, I think you understand what I'm trying to say. The locker room in the NFL or any level of football does not treat individual sport mentalities all that well.
Right.
And the reason I say that is because you can be a good teammate. Your teammates can like you, and yet you can affect your locker room negatively by the things that you say. Let me cite an example. During an interview during his college career, he said he chose UCLA to, quote unquote, mess with people. Like it was, you know, not necessarily the place that he should go, so I'm going to do that to mess with people. Well, he might think that, and that's fine, but he's not the only one that answer is beholden to. Remember, there are guys walking through those doors trying to bust their butt every single morning in the weight room and on the practice field, and then they look at the quarterback and they're like, he's only here because he's playing a big joke on everybody? Wait. So that's why I say the individual sport mentality sometimes with Josh bleeds over in these interviews, and that's the contradictions that I'm seeing in this piece in the magazine.
And he did bring up the name Tom Brady, so I'm going to refer one thing about Tom Brady. I don't like quarterbacks who are self-obsessed, who are self-analyzing and constantly saying, I'm trying to figure out the world. The one thing I love about Tom Brady, in public, he never talks about what he thinks about religion, politics, or anything else. He's just all about my teammates and football. And I've never heard one of his teammates, and I've known a whole bunch of them back through my days in television, who ever had one negative thing to say about Tom Brady. I will bet you some of Josh Rosen's teammates have not loved some of his behavior and how he carries himself.
He's a guy that the more he talks, you wish he wouldn't.
Yeah.
Because he's constantly, every time he opens his mouth, it seems a toe comes out because he puts his foot in his mouth. You never say, the only reason I went here to mess with someone because someone wanted me to go somewhere else, and so I did this because, bruh. And in tennis, what is that, Skip? That's an individual sport.
It is.
So you can have the me. Yeah. Or if you play golf, individual sport, me. But when you play on football, especially, there are 109 guys on the college football team. You go to the NFL, there's 53. I tell you what, be a quarterback and take that attitude to the NFL.
And you have to be uniquely aware of the way that your wake, you know, behind a boat, your wake affects the locker room. In an individual sport, you don't have to worry about that because you're the only one in that locker room.
Last point. maybe prototypically he's the most ready to play in the NFL because he came from more pro style.
As a player, he's beautiful.
No, I got
he
it.
is.
But to me, Baker Mayfield has played on bigger stages and bigger stakes games than he has, and Baker Mayfield will not be afraid of the NFL. I think you could throw him into the fire next year, and he would not disappoint you the way this kid will if you throw him into a big fire next year.
Yeah. If he gets into the right fit, Josh Rosen will succeed. He's good enough as a player. Now, is that team going to be willing to get over some of these red flags? That's the question.
Yeah, like Donovan Mitchell say, if you take a test long enough, you should be good at it. They've been asking.
Study for the test.
Yeah, they study. Yeah, and the thing is, they done sat down with the head coaches and general managers and know every question that they're going to be asked. Oh, yeah, I want to win 7 championships. Oh, yeah, I just like winning. Winning is everything to me. Stop.
Well, I don't know. Take a shot at Kellen Moore either, but I don't know if that's the one you want
Yeah.
the NFL
Boise
aiming
State,
for.
baby, Boise
Joel,
State.
thanks
They were
for
rolling.
joining
You
us.
bet. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.